everyone. Welcome to the next installment of Just Shy of Sanity. Tonight, we're going to talk about 10 different Christmas tales, spooky ones. Maybe you've heard some of them, maybe you haven't. Don't forget to click like, consider sharing and subscribing if you're into this kind of stuff. Leave a comment, let me know what you think. Help me out with the algorithm. All right, let's get started. Our first story is The Christmas Tree That Bleeds. Every December, a family in rural Ohio heads to the same little tree lot on Route 40. Same owner, same flickering string lights, same dusty radio playing Bing Crosby on repeat. They always pick the fullest Douglas fir they can drag home. One year, 2017, they get it, stood up in the living room, string the lights, step back to admire it, and notice a single drop of thick, dark red sap sliding down the trunk like a tear. They laugh it off. Weird sap, they say. Happens sometimes. But that night they wake up to a soft dripping sound. Drip, drip, drip. They follow it downstairs. The tree is bleeding. Crimson streaks running from a knot. The back of that now looks almost like a tiny screaming mouth. The carpet beneath it is soaked. Dad grabs an axe, determined to get rid of it. One swing and the trunk splits open with a wet crack. Inside, wedged between the rings of the wood, like it grew there, is a small cloth elf doll from the 1940s. Its felt hat, it's moldy, its button eyes long gone, and its mouth is sewn shut with bright red thread that matches the sap perfectly. The family burned the tree the same night. The doll wouldn't burn. They buried it in the backyard under 6 feet of frozen dirt. The next December, the tree lot was closed. The owner had vanished, but on Christmas morning, a brand new Douglas fir was standing in their living room, lights already strung. And from a fresh knot near the top, one slow drop of red began to fall. So perhaps you should just stick to artificial trees this year.
The radio station that only plays on Christmas morning. Every Christmas morning between 3 and 5 a.m., if you drive the back roads outside Des Moines, Iowa, your FM radio will suddenly pick up 87.7. No call letters, no DJ, just faint static. Then a crackly 1940s orchestra playing White Christmas. Silver bells, songs that sound like they're coming through a wall of snow. Between every track, a little girl's voice, thin and far away, asks the same question. Is he there yet? You can turn the dial, pull the knob out, even shut the car off. The station says. Some truckers in the 90s got curious. They called the request line announced at the end of Jingle Bells, an old 515 number. The second they called, the phone in their own kitchen back home started ringing. No one was there to answer. The driver in 2011 left his recorder running. At 4:57 a.m., the music stopped. The girl spoke clearer than ever. He's here. Then the door.
He's here.
Then dead air. When the sun came up, the station was gone. But every Christmas since, people who were called that old phone number found a new voice message waiting on their new phones, recording in their sleep. But if you're ever driving rural Iowa before the dawn of the 25th, keep the radio off. Because some stations only play once a year, when they already know that you're awake. Merry Christmas.
Grandma's Fruitcake. Every Christmas from 1948 to 1957, the Miller family in Dubuque, Iowa, received the exact same fruitcake in the mail. Dense, dark, studded with those weird neon cherries, always from Grandma Ruth, always wrapped in the same faded Santa paper, always with a little note that read, "Save me a slice." Grandma Ruth died in January 1958 of a heart attack, buried in her apron. December 1958 rolled around and, well, the fruitcake still showed up on the porch. no return address, same paper, same handwriting. Save me a slice. The family laughed nervously, stuck it in the pantry with the others. They kept coming. 1959, 1965, 1972, every single Christmas like clockwork. By 1980, the pantry held 23 identical fruitcakes, none of them ever cut. In 2012, the last Miller grandson finally decided to end the joke. He took the oldest one, the 1957 cake, to the kitchen table and sliced it open with a bread knife. Inside, perfectly preserved in the booze-soaked center, was a thick lock of gray hair tied with a red ribbon and a yellowed note in Grandma's spidery handwriting. Told you to save me a slice. They burned every fruitcake that night. The smoke smelled like cloves and something like warm skin. The next morning, December 25th, a new package sat on the porch. Same Santa paper. The note inside only said, "I'm still waiting." Some families in Dubuque didn't open fruitcake anymore. They just serve a slice on the porch Christmas Eve and hope it's gone by morning. Check your mail today. And if it's heavy, smells like rum, and has no return address, maybe leave it outside. Grandma gets cranky when she gets kept waiting.
The Christmas Eve Caller. Christmas Eve, 1983. A 16-year-old babysitter in Cleveland is watching two little kids while their parents go to a party. House is warm, tree lights blinking, kids finally asleep upstairs. Around 10 p.m., the phone rings. She picks up. A man's voice, slow and raspy. Have you checked the children? She thinks it's a prank, laughs, hangs up. Phone rings again at 10:30. Same voice, close to the sign. Have you checked the children? Now she's annoyed. Tells him to stop calling or she'll call the police. Hangs up harder. 11:15. Phone rings a third time. The voice is almost laughing. I'm upstairs. Have you checked the children? Heart pounding. She dials 911. Operator tells her to keep the line open. They're tracing the calls. Minutes crawl by. Finally, the operator comes back, voice shaking. Get out of the house now. The calls are coming from the second line, inside the house. She runs upstairs, grabs the kids, races outside barefoot into the snow. Police arrive 10 minutes later. They find the parents' bedroom phone off the hook, and a stack of beautifully wrapped Christmas presents on the bed that weren't there that morning. Each one tagged the child's name. Inside every box, a single Polaroid of the kids sleeping, taken from inside their rooms. The intruder was never caught. To this day, on Christmas Eve, some landlines in that suburb still ring once at midnight. When you answer, there is only breathing, and the faint sound of wrapping paper tearing. So if your phone rings tonight, maybe let it go to voicemail.
The department store Santa that knew too much. Oak Brook, Illinois, Christmas 1986. The mall Santa at Oak Brook Center was an old, angry guy named Mr. Whitaker. White beard, which was real, voice, soft, the kind kids trusted instantly. But parents started noticing something wrong. He'd lean into each child and whisper one thing, just one, that nobody else could possibly know. The little girl afraid of storms? Your grandpa says the thunder can't get you anymore. Grandpa had died that year before. To a boy who'd lost a tooth, tell Mommy the quarter under your pillow was from me, not the fairy. Mom had never told anyone she'd done that. By December 20th, parents were freaking out. Security pulled Whitaker off the throne. Turned out, he'd been the night janitor at that same mall for 23 years. Every evening after closing, he'd sit in the ceiling crawl spaces above the restrooms and listen. Listen to moms crying in stalls about divorces. Listen to dads on payphones promising kids they'd be home for Christmas. Listen to secrets spilled when people thought no one was there. He kept little notebooks, hundreds of them, names, dates, private pains. They found the notebooks in his apartment after he vanished that same night, along with one last entry written in red ink Tell the children I'm still watching, from higher up this time. The mall tore down at Santa Village in '87. But every December, some parents swear when they walk past the spot where the throne used to be, they still hear a soft, jolly laugh from the ceiling vents. Ho, ho, ho. Maybe check the vents this year, just in case.
The Yule Cat. In Iceland, they don't tell kids to be good for Santa. They tell them to finish their chores or the Yule Cat will come eat them. A monstrous black cat the size of a house, eyes like frozen moons, that prowls in the snow on Christmas night. The rule is simple. If you don't receive at least one new piece of clothing before Christmas morning, the Yule Cat smells your laziness and comes for you. Old farmers swore that they saw it on the ridge, silent as smoke, watching the villages below. In 1874, a boy in the West Fjords bragged that he'd outgrown needing new clothes. Christmas Eve, he went to his bed in his patched wool sweater. At 3 a.m., the family woke to a roar that rattled the windows. The front door was thrown off its hinges. Only the sweater was left behind, shredded, still warm, with 2 glowing scratches across the chest. They found the boy's footprints in the snow. And then, giant paw prints outside behind them, leading up to the mountains. He never came down. Even today, Icelandic grandmothers still rush to finish knitting socks or sweaters for every child in the family. Because on Christmas morning, if you open a gift with new clothes inside, you're safe. If you don't, some say you can still hear the Yule Cat purring outside the window, waiting to see what you're wearing. So maybe, if you didn't get new socks this year, maybe sleep with the lights on.
Marie Louise's American cousin. Deep in the West Virginia mountains, there's a Christmas Eve tradition most folks won't talk about until the whiskey poured. They call it the Gray Mare. Every year, right after midnight mass, a horse's skull wrapped in tattered white sheet appears at the edge of town. It's carried on a pole by faceless figures in black coats, empty eye sockets lit from within by 2 red candles. They go door to door. The skull sings in a wet, hollow voice. Old Welsh rhymes no one here should know. You have to answer in rhyme. Win the battle, the mare leaves. Lose, and you let her in for good luck. In 1936, the Davis family lost. Grandpa Davis opened the door drunk, mumbled something that didn't rhyme. The mare stepped inside, candles went out, and the door slammed. Next morning, the house was silent. Every mirror turned to the wall, and hoof prints burned into the hardwood led straight to the youngest daughter's room. She was sitting up in bed smiling, eyes milk white. When her mother screamed, the girl spoke in the same hollow voice. We'll be back next year. We always come home for Christmas. The family left town before New Year's. But every Christmas Eve since, that skull still walks the Ridge Road. And it only stops at houses where someone inside has Welsh blood or forgot how to rhyme. So, if a horse skull knocks at this Christmas, you better have a poem ready, because the Gray Mare never forgets a bad verse.
The Pickman family letters. In December 1898, a wealthy family in Salem, Massachusetts, the Pickmans, began receiving Christmas cards every single morning. Nothing unusual at first. Beautiful Victorian cards with angels, holly, the usual greetings. Except every card was addressed in the handwriting of their 9-year-old daughter, Eliza, who had died of diphtheria the previous March. The postmark on each envelope read, Salem, Mass, and the cancellation ink was still wet. Inside the messages grew stranger. December 12th. It's so cold down here, Mama. December 18th. The chimney is wide enough this year. December 24th. I've been good. Will he bring me up with him? On Christmas morning, the final card arrived. No stamp, just slipped under the front door. Eliza had written, I'm warm now. Open the chimney. The family rushed to the fireplace. The bricks were scratched off from the inside, as if tiny fingernails had clawed all night. When they pulled the damper, a single soot-covered card fluttered down to the ashes. On the back, in fresh red crayon, see you next year. The Pickman household burned to the ground in 1901. Arson, they said, but neighbors swore they heard sleigh bells on the rooftop before the flames shot up the chimney. Some say if you walk past the empty lot on Christmas Eve, you can still smell pine and wet ink.
Krampus bells. In 1978, a family in the hills outside Erie, Pennsylvania started hearing bells on Christmas Eve. Not cheerful sleigh bells, heavy iron bells like something dragging chains across the roof. Every year, it was the same. Footprints in the fresh snow that began at the chimney and walked straight to the bedroom of whichever kid had been worse that year. Cloven hoof prints, deep, ending right above their bed. The parents laughed it off as neighborhood pranksters until 1983. That year, their oldest son Tommy had bullied half the school. Christmas Eve came, the bells rang louder. The prints were deeper. And this time, they didn't stop at the roof. They continued down the side of the house, across the yard, and into the dark pines behind the property. Tommy was gone Christmas morning. Bed empty, window locked from the inside. Only a single iron bell hanging from the headboard, still swinging. The family moved the next month, but every December 24th, wherever they go, they still hear those bells on the roof. And the prints always lead to whichever kid forgot to be good. If you hear iron bells tonight, you'd better hope you made the nice list, because Krampus doesn't forget addresses.
The elf on the shelf that moves when you blink. December 1st, Mom places the elf on the shelf, high on the living room bookcase. Same red suit, same stiff smile. The kids name him Jingles. That night, the nanny cam catches something very odd. Every time the footage jumps a single frame, Jingles' head is tilted a little more toward the hallway. Mom thinks it's a glitch. By December 12th, the elf only moves when no one is looking directly at it. Turn away to grab cocoa, turn back, he's one shelf lower. Blink, he's on the staircase. Blink again, he's sitting on little Ethan's pillow while the boy sleeps, mouth right next to his ear. December 23rd, 2:14 a.m. The camera records Ethan sitting bolt upright in his bed, eyes wide. Jingles is perched on his chest like a gargoyle. The audio picks up the faintest whisper, high and papery. Ethan's name is on the other list now. Christmas Eve, the elf is back on the bookcase, exactly where he started, but a smile has restitched, upside down. The family threw Jingles in the trash that morning. The garbage truck never came. That night, the kids woke up laughing. They said Jingles told them a secret. He doesn't watch for Santa anymore. He watches for them. Check your shelves tonight. Whatever you do, don't blink.
If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, like the video, help me out with the algorithm. Consider following me as well.